Elon Musk's Neuralink just performed 2 brain implant operations in one day. This includes the company's first female patient to receive the brain-computer interface chip. Neuralink's 8th and 9th human users have been revealed as Nick Ray and Audrey Cruz. Both of them underwent surgery at the University of Miami Health Center, where Neuralink's autonomous robot device threaded ultrafine wires into the outer layer of their brain. The wires are then connected to a Fitbit-like mini-computer that gets placed inside the person's skull, which then connects through Bluetooth to control laptops and smart devices. So, the same way that you would use a wireless mouse with your hand, these Neuralink patients are using their thoughts. The company calls this application telepathy. Patient number 8 is Nick, a man who is suffering from the degenerative effects of ALS, a disease that's left him paralyzed from the neck down. It's an ailment that Nick has come to see as an opportunity to put himself on the cutting edge of brain-computer interface and AI research. Nick became a member of the Miami Project to Cure Paralysis, which led him into the Neuralink Prime study. As a longtime fan of cyberpunk literature like Johnny Mnemonic and Neuromancer, Nick has had a long-time dream of experimenting with BCI and working beyond the limitations of the physical body. Nick wrote in a post on X, "On the very first day using my BCI, I was afforded a glimpse, the slightest whiff of the capabilities I will achieve with practice, and it is so far beyond anything I could have dreamt of as an able-bodied individual." Audrey is patient number 9, a 36-year-old woman from Louisiana. Severe injuries from a car accident at the age of 16 left her a quadriplegic with no feeling in her arms and legs. In her own post on X, Audrey shared that everything was going amazing after the surgery, which involved Neuralink drilling a hole in her skull and implanting 128 electrode threads into her motor cortex. What's interesting is that Audrey's implant was connected with double the number of threads as patient number 1, Nolan Arbaugh, who had 64 wires placed in his brain, most of which later retracted and fell out. Audrey's first real-world application for the Neuralink technology has been making art. She started by writing her name for the first time in 20 years, which was pretty good considering she'd only had a few days of practice at that point, and then has moved on to nature and animal drawings that she posts on her X account. Audrey says that she just imagines using her finger to click and using her wrist to move the cursor like a mouse. The Neuralink implant decodes those signals in her brain to control the computer. Audrey's big plan right now is to use the technology to write a book that tells her story of living as a quadriplegic since the age of 16. One thing she did stress is that the Neuralink implant will not give her the ability to walk or regain the movement in her limbs. Not anytime soon, at least. But that is one of the many things that the company is working towards in the future, which also includes restoring eyesight to the blind. Ever feel like the news just tosses headlines at you and expects you to sift through the noise? Take this recent case. Tesla launched its much-hyped robotaxi service in Austin on June 22nd. But within hours, videos started circulating of one of these self-driving taxis braking erratically, drifting into wrong lanes, or mismanaging intersections, even driving on the wrong side of the street. In today's news landscape, you have to question who is saying what and why. But now, ground news does that for you. You can see the bias distribution is relatively centered, but if you want to know what both the left and right are saying, you can find out with a few clicks, and thanks to the blind spot feature, you can even catch angles that one side is covering that the other isn't. Plus, it's ad-free. No algorithm pushing drama, just facts. Want to live in a bubble? Go ahead. Want to stay informed smartly? Ground News is the tool. And fun fact, the founder of Ground News is a former NASA engineer, so the platform is built with analytical rigor, presenting source bias, reliability, and ownership context at a glance. Right now, only through our link, you can get unlimited access at 40% off their Vantage plan, or scan the QR code on the screen, empowering yourself with a more balanced news intake while also supporting the Tesla space. Check out the link in the description below. It's ground.news/Tesla space, and let Ground News help you see the full picture. Now let's get back to the rest of the video. Neuralink has recently entered into a new study that is aimed at developing the world's first bionic eye, essentially a visual prosthetic that would allow blind people to live a normal life. The research is being done in partnership with the University of California and a university from Spain. Visual prosthetics are not exactly new. Over a dozen of these implants have been developed over the years. 6 of them are currently involved in active clinical trials, but so far, nothing has proved to be successful for an effective, large-scale solution. The bionic eye itself is only half the battle, though. It's really just a digital camera that gets wired into the subject's brain. It's the brain interface that poses the biggest challenge, and that seems to be where Neuralink is excelling right now. But there's a big difference between moving a cursor on a screen and projecting an image into a person's vision. For the bionic eye to work, Neuralink will need to put 2 implants into the back of the patient's skull, one on each side, and they'll need to use larger electrode threads that can carry more electricity to stimulate the brain tissue. So far, Neuralink has just been reading brain activity like an output device, so now they need to learn how to go the other way and create an input. At first, this will look very basic. A person wearing camera-equipped glasses will be able to see white dots in the center of their visual field that will give them a sense of objects directly ahead. But over time, Neuralink believes that this can evolve into a bionic eyeball and a clarity of vision that is far beyond what any human being would be capable of. A Neuralink user could even see light that is invisible to the human eye, like infrared or ultraviolet. Anyway, that's all cool, but bringing things back down to a more practical level, Tesla is finally about to release their long-awaited, more affordable electric car, and we've got our first look at what this vehicle will offer. Now we've confirmed that this is not exactly a new car. It's not the Model 2 or Model Q or anything like that. Elon Musk himself has said that it's just going to be a Model Y that's been modified to come out of the factory with a lower price tag. A Model Y Mini, as the people of the internet have dubbed it. So what do we have to lose along the way? New spy photos seem to reveal a lot of changes to the interior of the car. Even though everything is covered in sheets, we can still say for sure that there will be no glass roof on the Model Y Mini and potentially no rear window either. Kind of like a Cybercab. Or at least a much smaller rear window. Something weird is going on back there. But if they can get away with not being able to see out of the back of the Cybertruck, then maybe trying the same thing here could help a lot with cost savings. Some more expected changes would be the removal of the rear display screen, fewer speakers, no parcel shelf in the trunk, they removed the coat hooks, I guess every penny counts, and potentially switching to some type of cloth seat. It's hard to tell when everything is black, but definitely not ventilated seats in this model. One thing that the Model Y Mini won't lose is self-driving. We can see from the exterior images that even though the bumper is mostly covered, it definitely does have a front-facing camera, the same as the regular Model Y, the Cybertruck, the S, and the X. Tesla doesn't need the front bumper camera for regular autopilot, but it does seem to be necessary for fully autonomous driving with unsupervised FSD, and even this bottom-of-the-line cheapest vehicle should be just as capable for robotaxi work as any other new Tesla. And probably the biggest change of all, it looks like a whole lot less legroom back there than a normal Model Y. It's hard to tell from the exterior images if the wheelbase is shorter because camera perspective can really mess with proportions, but from the inside it definitely looks like they've shaved a few inches between the front and rear wheels, which would lend itself to using a smaller battery pack in this vehicle, and that's likely where the majority of the cost saving is going to come from. Elon Musk says that the Model Y Mini started production in June. It's currently ramping up to volume production over the next 3 months and will go on sale in the US in Q4 this year, and that's going to line up with the end of the $7,500 tax credit for electric vehicles. Overall, the elimination of the tax credit won't be great for Tesla, but it does bring up one new opportunity that will help with cost. One of the big changes made to the tax credit over the past 4 years was the requirement for the vehicle to use American-made battery cells to receive the full credit. Chinese batteries would mean less tax saving, and to meet that requirement, Tesla actually phased out the cheaper Chinese-made LFP battery cells that they had been using in standard range vehicles. Now, if there's no tax credit, then there's no reason not to use the cheaper Chinese-made battery packs. And that would be a big factor in driving down the cost of the Model Y Mini even further. So we don't know exactly how cheap it's going to be, but previously Elon had said less than $30,000 after the federal tax credit. So that would put the real price somewhere in the 36 to 37K range. Right now, the cheapest Model 3 is $42,500. So even 37 would be pretty good. But I wouldn't be surprised if they can get the retail price down to 35, even if they take a bit of a hit on profit margin in favor of higher volume.